All right. Hi, guitarsters. How you doing? It's December. It's Christmas. We're doing a bit of a different whole thing this month leading up to Christmas. I'm doing a different Christmas carol or song with you every day. The last 2 days we did Jingle Bell Rock and we did Wish You a Merry Christmas. I want to do something a little more traditional today because personally a big fan of the traditional hymns and stuff. So we're gonna actually do It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. So if you're not familiar with that one, it sounds like this. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. Peace on, and it's like, yeah. And so it's kind of got a verse chorus thing going there, and so I really think the melody of that song is really beautiful, and that's why I want to do that one. And it's an interesting thing as well from a musical standpoint, so I wanted to talk slightly about the musical theory behind the harmonic structure of the chords. But otherwise, thank you anyone for watching, and we're going to be going through how to play It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. Now, today I don't have any guitar picks on me because I only really I gave most of mine away, I think, and only brought a couple with me up to Queensland. And one of my girls grabbed them and put them inside like a little block that you can open like this. And now I don't know where they've gone, but that's all right. We'll deal with that because it's always good. Like, you want to learn with a pick and know how to play with a pick, but it's also good to learn a bit of finger style in case you don't have one, so you're not completely limited. Like, I can't play because I don't have a pick. That's not the case. You just can't play as well because you don't play have a pick usually. Unless it's a song that requires you to use all your fingers for finger picking and stuff. Most songs you can play perfectly fine without your fingers using just a pick and one point of reference. But welcome. Okay, let's get into it. So we're going to go through the chords we need for this song. Now, this song has a really interesting sort of format. It's sort of an AABA format. It's what we call... now, that's usually called a ternary format, but it's not. I'm blanking on the word. There's a classical terminology for the format of that verse structure. We call it AABA, and what happens there is you have A, and then you have variation on A, and you have a completely different B section, and then you have usually the same variation or a slightly different variation on the second A section. So it's like A variation on A, B variation on A sort of format. You can see this in a lot of simple verse structures as well in terms of regular songs where you'll have like AABA. So we did it in both Smooth and Ain't No Sunshine. So like, ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's not warm when she's away. So that's A again. Ain't no sunshine when she's gone. It's the B section. And she's always gone too long. Anytime back to A she goes away. And the same with Smooth. Like, they have that. So it's a common verse structure. And so this is what we have in It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. It's just, I think it's called rondo form, is when you just have, no, that's not right. It's not rondo. It starts with S. Anyway, it's a type of musical structure form where you have just a repeated verse after verse after verse. Strophic form, I think it's called strophic form. Anyway, so we're going to be doing It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. Now, the music that I have from my church hymn book here that has the actual like piano music and stuff for it is, it's in the key of B flat, which is a really awkward key for guitar. And so usually if you had that, you either go up to C or you go down to A to pick something nearby. In this case, I'm going to go down to G because G is actually a much better key for some of the interesting harmonic changes that we have happening in this song. So and it makes it nice and simple. Use a lot of the same chords we've touched on before. I don't think there's anything particularly new, but we'll go through those chords anyway. So the first A section, we have, going through the chords, we have it came G. So this is your G chord. The 4-finger G chord is preferable, especially in the key of G, because it gives a more resolved, more structured, more resonant sound. So that's something you want to consider. It came upon the midnight clear. So that was G, C, G, G. We have C, A7, secondary dominant chord, and D, D7. Okay, sorry, there's a lot happened there in the second half of that line. So G, C, G, G, C again, A7. A7 is not in the key of G, but it is the dominant chord of D. So instead of going like an A minor D, we're doing an A7. It's called a secondary dominant chord. D is the dominant chord in G. D really wants to resolve back to G. A dominant chord is usually the 5th in the key. To really it's usually a 7th chord, and it resolves really well to the right chord. So in this case, like D, D7 really goes to G. Now A7 really goes to D. So what they've done is they've thrown in, like, they've changed the harmony underneath. So a glorious song of old. And it has this nice little interesting build happening that really takes it back to the G again. So that's the first line. So we have G, C, G, G, C, A7, D, D7. So that D and the D7 is kind of like, you think of it just as a D chord that just kind of adds in the 7th to make it resolve better back to the G, which kind of makes it more simple in your head when you're doing this. So G, C, G, C, A7, D, D7. And then it goes back to, that's line 1 of the song. It came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old. Alright, line 1. Now we've got a variation on that for the second line. It's actually easier this time. From angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. So it's actually in this interesting thing, like the second line and the fourth line, which are identical, is just G, C, G, G, C, D, G, G. So G, C, G, G, C, D, G, G. Put the glorious sun from touch their harps of gold. And that's, so that makes it really nice. And then the world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing is the final line in the chorus there. So like those two are really easy. The second and the fourth line, really simple. G, C, G, C, D, G. So we have the interesting thing happening in the first line, where we've got the secondary dominant chord. It came upon a midnight clear, that glorious song of old. And then they've got the nice resolved finish. The angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. And then we have this really interesting thing happening in the B section here. This is, it gets weird. We go B7. And you're like, there's not a B7 chord in the key of G. And like that, you are correct. There is a B minor chord. The B7 is again a secondary dominant chord. B7 is a secondary dominant chord. It's the dominant chord in the key of E. So what we do, E minor is the relative minor of G. And so this B7 chord here is functioning again as a secondary dominant chord to the E minor chord there. So, peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all creation. Another A7 chord, another secondary dominant key. Then D7 going back to the G. So this is, and the trick here, if you're kind of confused when these are used, it's completely alphabetical. The music's completely alphabetical chords. So we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G. There's seven notes in the musical alphabet. A, B, C, D, F, G. Then it goes back to A. So we have 7 notes in a major scale. In the key of G, it's G, A, B, C, D, E, F sharp, G. So G is 1, A is 2, B is 3, C is 4, D is 5, the fifth. The fifth is the dominant, so that's the one that can be D7, and therefore resolve back to G. D to G, D, C, B, A, G. That's the fifth. In the key of D, if D, so the dominant chord of D, D, E, F sharp, G, A, is A, A7. A7 resolves back to D. For E or E minor, E, F sharp, G, A, B, B7. So it's all alphabetical. 5 goes back. The 5 is the one that goes back to the 1. So D7 to G, A7 to D, B7 to E or E minor. Because it functions both ways in a major or a minor key. Yeah. So this song's really great as an exercise in secondary dominant chords, and it's got this really beautiful melody. So we have our third line, our B section, which actually goes to a B chord, B7. Peace on the earth, goodwill to men. E minor is nice and easy. B7 is this one. If you haven't done a B7 chord before, there's a bar chord version, or there's this open chord version. The open chord version, to be able to play it effectively, you have to kind of, push your thumb further up the neck of the guitar, because technically, like your G chords here, B7, you're bringing everything back, and if you don't bring your thumb back, you're just kind of then twisting your wrist out. We want to avoid that. But again, if you have any questions about technique, I'm all good to talk about those things. So if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, like, to be able to really get in and ask questions, you have to get on the Twitch live stream. So you can do that at twitch.tv/Caleb Rockstead. Okay, so peace on the earth, goodwill to men, from heaven's all gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. So that's, okay, so we'll go through that structure again in case you just joined us. So the whole song, it's a verse structure, just 3 verses over and over again. We call it strophic form. A, A, B, A. So we have it G, C, G, G, C, A7, and D, D7. G, C, G, G, C, D, G. B section, B7, gonna goes to E minor, then D, A7, and D, D7, G, C, G, G, C, D, G. And that's the whole song. It just has 3 verses of that. Our version here has 3 verses. The version I have here has 3 verses. A lot of old hymns have like 7 or 8 or 9 verses, and you don't actually get all of them usually in a lot of the copies of music, because a lot of people just kind of got rid of some of them because it's just too long and you don't want to sing the whole song for like 10 minutes and stuff. So now that's our chord structure. So we're going to do it in a minute, and we're going to play through the whole thing, and you can play along. I'm going to go nice and slow so you can kind of follow my chords as I do it, in case you didn't get the form. I just want to talk a little bit about strumming. So at the moment, I don't have a pick today because one of my girls ran off with the pick, because they like to play with them because they're little hard things. Now, so what do you do when you don't have a pick? Okay, so let's talk a little bit about strumming. So strumming, when you don't have a pick, ideally you want to strum down with these 2 middle fingers. It's better than just doing 1 finger, because for one, they take some of the blow and they kind of blur the sound in a nice way. So you're kind of using 2 fingers to go down. You can use more, but then you start to sound like flamenco. Whereas if you just use 2, you get a nice sort of blurring of the sound. It has a nice gradation of notes that happens. And it's obviously less clear and precise than using a pick, because a pick you get one clear like that. So you get a slightly more blurred sound, but it's a lot better to use 2 fingers than just 1. And ideally use the 2 middle ones and use the thumb to go back up for upstrokes. And so the important thing to know is that a lot of Christmas carols, a lot of Christmas hymns and older ones and stuff especially, are in 3/4. They're in 3 timing, so it's like a waltz, like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So silent night, away in a manger, no crib for a bed. It came upon the midnight clear. It's because it has there's this really interesting like scientific thing behind 3/4 time. Like it's the way horses gallop. It's the way we waltz. It's the way our heart beats in 3/4. Boom, 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 boom. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, or something like that. So 3/4 naturally speaks to like emotion and things within us. It speaks to our soul in a different way. It speaks to our whole self physiologically. And so, if you're wanting to create a nice, really beautiful ballad and stuff, 3/4 is often a better, like Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls or something like that. If you want like a modern pop example or something, is a really good example of a 3/4 song. You had that the one off the Twilight movie, 1,000 Years by Christina Perri. That was a 3/4 song. It's in 3/4. It's got that waltzing feel to it that makes it more like it goes really well with ballads and stuff. And so a lot of Christmas carols happen in 3/4 because they speak to our souls more and stuff. Now, what that means in terms of strumming is it's not your straight down, up, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and or like 1 sort of thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and a 2 and a 3 and a 4 and a thing. What you want to do? So you've got a few options on where you put the beats, but it came upon me. So I fall to a 1 up, go down, miss, up, down, miss, up, down, miss, up, down, came upon me. That sort of tends to work really well. So on 3/4, is 1 and 2 and 3 and. So 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and 1 and 3 and down, miss, up, 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 down. And so that's the strumming pattern that's going to flow most naturally onto this song. So other songs you might have a different emphasis, but this works really well because it gives a really strong 3 pulse to it. You can totally get by just going, it came upon the midnight clear, if you really want to. But like that's still going to sound nice, especially if you want the focus to be on the vocals and you have other people doing harmonies and stuff. But if you do have a lot of people singing, doing a bit of strumming to help keep the pulse and keep everyone in time, and really kind of, like, I guess it helps add a little bit of volume and stuff as well to what you're playing. Like, those are all really good tools when you're strumming a song like this. Okay, so either way, that's the strumming pattern. It's really good if you're not really good at strumming. Literally just practice that on one chord, or don't practice like down, miss, up, down, miss, up, down, miss, up, down, miss, up, down, up, down, miss, up, down, miss, up, down, miss, up, down. Okay, so that's our song. We've got that structure. So G, C, G, G, C, A7, D, D7, G, C, G, G, C, D, G, G. Then we have our B section. B7, B7, E minor, D, A7, and D, D7, G, C, G, G, C, D, G, G. And that's the song. and there's 3 verses. We're gonna do it 3 times over. Okay, and so what you might do for an intro then is you might just go and just do like the last line. As an intro, and then you go into the song. So we're gonna go nice and slow, so you can sing along with me, or play along with me, ideally. So keep an eye on the chords. If you're not sure of the chords and I haven't gone through it slow enough for you, like I have other days where I've gone through and told you every single finger where to place it and stuff. If you're not sure how to do all those chords and I can't quite tell from what I'm doing, like look them up online. There's like if you just search this, you hear what the chord name is, B7 or something. Anyway, B7 chord guitar, and go to Google Images. You'll get a number of ways to do it. This 21202 is the best way and stuff. And or if you want to know how to read a chord chart or like a chord diagram, there's YouTube videos and stuff where people explain how to do stuff like that. Anyway, all right, let's do it. Ready? So we'll do our final line, G, C, G, G, C, D, G, G as our intro, and then we'll go through, try and play along with me if you can. Ready? Down, up, down, miss, miss, up, down, up, C, D, G. It came upon the midnight clear, that glorious song of old, from angels bending near the earth to touch their harps of gold. He sung the earth goodwill to men, from heaven's oh gracious King. The world in solemn stillness lay to hear the angels sing. Still through the cloven skies they come, with peaceful wings unfurled, and still their heavenly music floats o'er all the weary world. Above its sad and lowly plains, they bend on hovering wing, and ever o'er its Babel sounds the blessed angels sing. For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophets seen of old, when with the ever-circling years shall come the time foretold, when the new heaven and earth shall own the Prince of Peace, their King, and the whole world sends back the song which now the angels sing. And that's It Came Upon a Midnight Clear. So if you couldn't remember that because it was a slightly complicated chord progression, like feel free to go back and watch it and write it down and stuff. And like the words are probably easy enough to find online. If you weren't watching on Twitch, we had a couple of people watching on Twitch. I can see the viewer count here, but we had a few people. But no one was really commenting or saying hi or like asking questions as we go. One of the great parts about Twitch is you can really be interactive. So it's more like an actual guitar lesson with somebody than say just watching a YouTube tutorial. So make sure that you follow me on Facebook at Learn Guitar with Caleb, or on Twitter at the Cross Teddy, all one word, or on twitch.tv/Caleb Rockstead, so you can be part of the conversation and ask questions, actually like be part of the community and learn as we go. I'll be back tomorrow with a different Christmas song. If you have requests, like feel free to on Facebook, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch, let me know, because I'll be back with a different song tomorrow. We're gonna be doing this every weekday leading up until Christmas, maybe Saturdays as well. Might do something special as well. Get my wife on and we'll do a Christmas special where we sing a whole bunch of Christmas songs and stuff together. But otherwise, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, guitarsters, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. Have a good one.